Hey everyone, how's it going? Comic book review time. I tried to do this as a live stream twice. Both attempts failed. The first time the live stream kept cutting out, and I just tried to do it just literally 2 seconds ago. My sister's boyfriend decided to call via this phone for some reason. So yeah, I'm doing this as a usual, normal video now. So I'll probably, stop with the live streams for a while. At least up until the time where I get something that can, do live streams without cutting out every 5 seconds. Yeah, but without further ado, comics, comic book channel, let's do some comic reviews. Laugh! First up, we got Fantastic Four, issue number 4. There's a little closer look at the cover there, if you wanted to have a little look-see. Yeah, Fantastic Four number 4. Not that great, in my personal opinion. Probably the best issue so far, but still not amazing. I want the Fantastic Four to be good, because they've been gone for so long. I wanted their return to be amazing, and their return was a bit naff, really, to be honest. I've heard that the next issue is pretty good, because I'm falling behind. The next issue's good. I hope so, because this issue was pretty poop. I really did not like this. So we have a new team that are only in this issue, called the Fantastics. They are supposed to be replacing the Fantastic Four, and apparently they're just carbon copies of the Fantastic Four, some with mildly different abilities. So we have 2D, who basically is just Mr. Fantastic, but he's not smart at all, and he's just flat. He's just a completely two-dimensional being. We have this girl who can, I don't know, she's strong, I think. She doesn't really do much in this issue. We're not really showing her powers. We have this guy who, again, I think he's a guy. It kind of looks like he's got boobs on the cover, but it looks like a guy. It looks like a guy, he looks like he has the semblance of a beard, but also drawn with boobs. It's anyone's guess. And we have this big guy who, instead of being made of rocks, made of ice. So you think he'd be pretty useless, because you punch him once, he just breaks up. But no, apparently he's just as durable as the Thing, because he's made of ice. Don't know how that works. But they don't fight the Fantastic Four, instead they fight the Wrecking Crew, outside of the Baxter Building. And then when the Fantastic Four get back to Earth after their big fight in space, they're like, oh, they're trying to take us, they're trying to replace us. Instead of fighting them, they help them fight the Wrecking Crew, but Ben Grimm decides, no, we're not going to join that fight, because we'll just probably make stuff even worse than it already is. He just goes back to Allison, or Alicia. Alicia? It's the woman's name. Alicia. Yeah, Alicia Masters. Goes back to Alicia Masters, who I should have known the name of, because it's his love interest. But yeah, he goes back to Alicia Masters and brings Franklin with him. But for some reason, this fight with the Wreckers goes on for way too long. It goes on for most of the issue, which should just be like, you have the Fantastic Four and another team of 4 people. You have 8 superheroes versus the Wrecking Crew. And it takes almost the full issue to take them down. Should not take that long. Now we have the ending where Ben Grimm proposes. Well, I guess that's sweet, that's nice. And we also have the Fantastic Four basically hand off the Baxter Building to these 4 who are trying to take their place. I thought that was a bit of a weird ending. So now the Fantastic Four have taken residence in an apartment building in Yancey Street, where Ben Grimm lives. Apparently he had the money while they were gone to buy the entire apartment complex. Somehow Ben Grimm had all the money to buy the entire apartment complex. Like, maybe he had a lot of money from, like, savings that Reed Richards made that he decided to take because Reed Richards was classified as dead. And maybe that's what happened. Possibly. I don't know. I think that's what happened, but it's not really explained how he got the money to afford to buy the entire apartment complex. But he did. And that's all that matters. So the Fantastic Four have a place to stay, I guess. Punisher. Issue number 4. This was pretty okay. It's a step up from that, but it's still meh. The artwork is really bad. Like, oof. Like, it's not like the artist is bad at drawing. Like, he's good at drawing, it's just, like, it's very difficult to know what's going on a lot of the time. Like, it's very difficult to really, like, follow the scene. You know what I mean? Like, most of the pages are like that, where it's like almost dark and there's only like a little bit of light and the text box. So that's my one gripe, and it's a big gripe. The rest of it is the story's just a bit standard Punisher fare. It is just a standard Punisher fare. So in the last issue, Frank Castle got taken into custody by S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury kind of arrested him, and it turned out one of the prison guards was actually Jigsaw, Jimmy Russo, not Billy Russo. No, that's in the... not to my desk. That's in the Netflix series. In the comics, it's actually Jimmy Russo. I don't know why they changed his name from Jimmy to Billy. It really makes no sense. Like, Billy's actually his son. It was in like one issue. They decided to call him Billy in the show. I don't know why. It's just something, I guess. But anyway, he fights Jigsaw. And it turns out that Nick Fury was not Nick Fury at all. It was actually the Chameleon in disguise. If you're not in the know, Chameleon is a character that can wear the face of anyone else. So he has the ability to basically, if he wears like a mask of someone, he will then become that person. He will take their voice. He's like Mystique, but not like Mystique. It's weird. I don't quite understand his powers. But the rest of it is just, a big gun. It's a big gunfight between the Punisher and a load of guys. Jigsaw and the Chameleon. So yeah, it's pretty fun, but it's not really that much more to talk about with that. We then have Venom First Host, which is the lead up to the big fight. I mean, most of this is the big fight, but next issue is the big fight. Like, this issue is the fight between Venom wearing the child symbiote versus the Kree that came in the start of this mini and stole the Venom symbiote. This guy. It's this guy versus this guy, essentially. And she is kind of a part of it. So yeah, it's that, and they fight. It's basically just a big fight. And it's kind of alluded to that Eddie Brock and the Skrull are kind of romantically linked. But the Skrull lady has yet to appear in the main Venom book, so I don't know if that's actually going to be canon, or if it's just like a one-time thing that's probably going to be referenced later on, that, oh yeah, Eddie Brock slept with the Skrull. That's just kind of what happens here. At the end of the issue, we see all of the, we see that this one Kree guy that stole the Venom symbiote, Eddie Brock gets his old symbiote back, but then the entire Kree army just shows up outside of the ship that they're fighting on. And next issue is going to be the big fight. So yeah. Then we have Sentry number 3, which is just telling us how, which is just like the story of the villains. The villains in the background of this. And it's essentially just Sentry's old sidekick Scout lost his arm in a fight with the Void, so he now wants revenge, or he wants to be Sentry. He wants the power of the Sentry. And by doing that, he gets this guy Cranio to recreate the serum that turned Bob Reynolds into the Sentry. And in doing so, he then becomes the Sentry. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of just the gist of it. But that's everything that happens here. It's just the backstory behind the lead up to the events of the first issue, where Sentry gets the thing that's stopping him from turning into Sentry. He gets that kind of stolen, and it turns out that it's this guy, Cranio, that actually stole it. And it leads up to the next issue, which is the big fight between Sentry and Scout, who is refusing to call himself Scout. He then calls himself the Sentry. The issue cover, the only problem that I have with this is that the cover of the issue shows Sentry fighting Iron Man. That doesn't happen in this. This is literally just the backstory for the villains. The next issue is the fight between Iron Man and Sentry, but also the fight between Sentry and Scout. So, yeah, the cover is a bit misleading, and it's a bit clickbaity, but I don't know. But it's a good story. It's really good, and Jeff Lemire knows what he's doing with the Sentry. And finally, Sentry number 4. I had to put these two together, but on any normal week this would have won my pick of the week anyway. This was damn good. The only niggle that I have with this is pretty, it's not bad, it just becomes a bit jumbled sometimes, and it's very over the top, if you know what I mean. It's very over the top. like here, it's very long faces, and it's always like electricity flying everywhere, and like this issue is pretty much all action, so that kind of over-the-top art style works there. But in the last issue, where it's just a lot of sitting down and talking, that art style didn't really work as well. But during the action scenes, yeah, it works. It works really well. It's basically just Sentry fighting off against... Eve at first fights the Hulkbuster armor, because Iron Man's like, no, the Sentry, if he like is out for too long, he'll turn into the Void, and the Void will kill us all, so I've got to stop him whilst he's in Sentry form, I've got to talk him down. And Sentry's not having any of it, so he just punches the Hulkbuster once, and he's like, yeah, I destroyed the Hulkbuster in one punch. And then Scout comes along, and he starts beating up on Bob Reynolds, the Sentry, and he's like, no, I'm the Sentry now, but I'm the hero, I'm the good guy. And Iron Man's like, no, you're not. But you're not, though. You're doing this for revenge. And, yeah. And I thought that was cool. It's like Iron Man's just stuck in the middle between this, like, sibling rivalry, or this father-son rivalry, the sidekick and mentor rivalry, like, fight. And it's cool seeing, like, Iron Man, where he's like, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea about any of this. And that's cool. And it's also cool the way this ends with Bob Reynolds. He's been sent to the Sentry world, which is what was inside the machine that was keeping Bob Reynolds in the real world, in the Sentry, locked in this kind of Sentry world, which was inside of Bob's brain. Now Bob's there and the Sentry's out, and he's fighting Cranio inside of there, but he just runs away, and he runs directly towards the Void, and he's like, Void, I need your help. And that's bloody cool, because the next thing we see is like the Sentry, Bob Reynolds, and the Void all come together in tandem, and they create like this ultra powerful, like, full being in the new Sentry, where he gets like this red costume, and it looks bloody badass. So yeah, those are all the books that I read this week. I think this was a really good week, to be honest. A lot of action, a lot of, getting ready for the big fight, and there's a lot of just, calms before the storm here, because we have Venom First Host, which is ramping up for its big fight finale, and we have the Sentry, which is ramping up for its big fight finale, which is cool. Fantastic Four, I think after the next issue, which is the wedding, they have this, they have a Doctor Doom versus Galactus arc, which I'm looking forward to. And in the Punisher, he's gonna be fighting Baron Zemo for a long time, and I've been keeping up with the preview issues, and it's gonna get good. It's gonna get good. So those are my reviews for the books that I read this week. I know I'm behind. I know. Stop screaming at me. I'm behind. But I'm catching up. My video next week will probably just be like a big catch-up video on the Hulk. Because I know the Hulk is on like issue 12 now. I'm on issue 2. So I've got 10 issues to like catch up on that. So yeah, got a big catch-up to do with Hulk. And I've got a big catch-up to do with Thor as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hit the like button, subscribe, check me out on my social medias, hit the notification bell, link to my Patreon as well in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!